Oh, thank you. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
We don't like a word of ours to be missed. That's the way we are. I met Dan in early 1968. For the first time, we met in an apartment in Greenwich Village. And in a few hours, we were on our way to North Vietnam, traveling halfway around the world. And although we had never seen one another until that day, we were going to spend the next 3 weeks or so very closely together. We were there to bring back these 3 first flyers released by North Vietnam. And let me say that meeting Dan Berrigan has been one of the most important moments of my life. Every day that we were in Hanoi, we were there for about a week, and every day that we were in Hanoi, we had a very, very full day. It was a busy time. And then at the end of the day, we both had our hotel rooms in this old French hotel. At the end of the day, before going to sleep, Dan would come to my room, and he had traveled with a very tiny, I wouldn't call it a suitcase, something very small. But he pulled out of it every night a little bottle of cognac. And I had a feeling that there wasn't much else in his bag. And so we would have a little bit of cognac, and then we would both retire. And the next morning, we would meet at breakfast, and Dan would have a poem. I don't know when he wrote it. I suppose it was while he slept. But every morning, another poem. And that was the beginning of my friendship with Dan, which would continue. He introduced me to what can I call it? The Catholic left? Dare I use the word left? The Catholic anti-war movement. To Phil and Liz and Tom and all the others, what a remarkable group. And then, of course, Dan and we became entangled with one another in a number of ways through the course of the movement against the war in the Vietnam period, when he came to Boston and was underground, and I was, as the FBI would say, his handler. But I could actually never handle him. But, you know, there were all those things he did afterward, which you know about, and from the Catonsville 9 through all of the others. And at one point he sent me, and my wife Roz sent us a poem which he had written in memory of Mitch Snyder, who's an advocate for the homeless in Washington, D.C., and who had just at a certain point found things too much for him and killed himself. And Dan wrote this poem in his honor. And you've actually heard some of those lines tonight from the Witness Against Torture people, but I want to read you the whole poem because I brought it with me to read. And in loving memory, Mitchell Snyder. Some stood up once and sat down. Some walked a mile and walked away. Some stood up twice, then sat down. I've had it, they said. Some walked 2 miles, then walked away. It's too much, they cried. Some stood and stood and stood. They were taken for fools. They were taken for being taken in. Some walked and walked and walked. They walked the earth, they walked the waters, they walked the air. Why do you stand, they were asked, and why do you walk? Because of the children, they said, and because of the heart, and because of the bread. Because the cause is the heart's beat, and the children born, and the risen bread.